The storms we chase are leading us, and love is all we'll ever trust. Yeah, no, I don't wanna waste what's left. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go. Finding life along the way, melodies we haven't played. No, I don't want no rest. Echoing around these walls, fighting to create a song. I don't wanna miss a beat. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go. And we'll grow in number, fueled by them to see the horizon, turn us to thousands. And we'll grow in number, fueled by them to see the horizon, turn us to thousands. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go.
Open eye, feel the waves cut through me, hypnotized by the sounds I'm breathing in. Hold tight, chemicals collide. Hold tight, hold tight, hold tight. Dripping lights paint the skies, all because of you. Dripping lights paint the skies, only you can make me move.
like you. Be strong to hold the powers of the sun. To dream, believe in strength. Now I'm the only one. Only one. I was an ordinary boy until I broke the rules. My life destroyed. My life destroyed. Until I walk awake, scream my mind, I shout, the ground shakes. How much can I take? My mind will break. Will it break? Can I take? Can I be your superhero? Superhero.
Okay, so I'm live right now. Okay. Hey all, it's me, Hack, and I'm back into streaming scene after a really long time. Almost like after 6 months, like maybe 5, maybe 3. I don't know. But yeah, like it's been some time. Like was busy with studying for CPTS exam and some other work. But I'm thinking to like make this a habit, like to do stream every other Sunday, I believe, around the same time. Again, I'm not super sure because I also happen to have school, a lot of work. But yeah, hmm, we will wait for a bit to see if someone tunes it. I don't think anyone will be joining it, but I mean we have to start somewhere, right? Um, so yeah, the topic for like this stream will be like cloud security, pen testing slash hacking, like GCP, right? That's like one like CSP, like I'm working a lot right now, making labs, doing doing like security research work, right? I'm like even like stumbling right now, but yeah, like doing like security research work. So this stream will be uh more like me talking different stuff, right? We won't be like jumping a lot into like CLI. It will be like me mostly like talking about things, right? Like cloud security, how we can do pen testing with in GCP, stuff like that. So yeah, um, we'll wait for a bit, right? I mean, I do look cool, right? I also hope my audio is like a lot clearer this time because I have like tuned in my microphone, and I will hope like this time my audio is clear. Again, not super sure, but that's the only thing which I can hope for. Like audio to be clear this time, right? Like I have like messed up a lot of my streams with either with bad quality, bad audio, or me like being an issue. But yeah. Hmm. So let me go back to my like browser, right? So I'm back up here, like on my browser. We will be like talking more about GCP mainly, right? So let me um no mind. I hope like my browser to be a lot better here. It's better. In the meanwhile, I will just do a quick test to see if everything is working. Oh wow. I hope. Okay, so yeah, like the chat is working. Alright. So yeah, like we will be like talking about GCP, mate. So I don't know like if you have seen my like previous video, right? But over there I made a whole like video like about 2 hour long about pen testing GCP. It was like very basic, and I will like highly recommend anyone who's like trying to get into pen testing GCP. I believe that to be a very basic thing which everyone needs to know, right? Also, like I have like talked to like a lot of people, and for some reason like they don't like, or they don't go for like pen testing GCP because they believe they don't know anything about it. Um, though like though they do like pen testing work or hacking related to like AWS, but I believe like almost like every other cloud has a very basic or some kind of like a similar concept. The naming could be different, the permissions or roles could be different, but at a higher level, like they both like they all are like kind of same, right? So yeah, like if you like know like hacking slash pen testing AWS, I believe like GCP will not be that hard. Like I believe pen testing GCP to be a lot easy, right? um so yeah, like it's all about like practicing a lot of stuff, right? So we'll like talk about like different stuff, right? But before that, if you're like looking for like a platform to like practice cloud security related stuff, you can check Boon Labs, right? I do work there. But yeah, like you can check out this website. It's a really cool platform. But yeah, um so let's talk about like GCP, right? So like okay, so I'm not sure like if I should go and do the whole like practical demonstration or just talk about different things. I think I will just go and talk about different cool attacks, right? So if you are like into the hacking scene, you must be knowing about Hacktricks, right? They have cloud.hacktricks. It's a great platform. They have like different um, resources from like all different places in a single place, right? Uh, or maybe I should like reframe the sentencing, which is they have links or resources from different platforms or different resources from different researchers or their own research on a one single platform. I hope I was clear with it, right? But yeah, like you can check out Cloud Hack Tricks. Then there's a security team from like GitLab. They do fantastic work. They have done some GCP security research work. Then they also have like then there's another like amazing company called Rhino Security, right? Um, I'm kind of like a big fan of them because they have done some amazing security research work when it comes to GCP, right? I might even consider them like as a pioneer, like in whole security, maybe like cloud security thing, or at least like GCP, I believe, right? Uh, but yeah, like it will be like more in the stream, like it will be like more me talking different stuff, right? uh like okay, so I see some people have tuned in here. So if you're like watching this stream, like do you have any experience with cloud security or cloud hacking? Hello, anyone? Any experience with hacking, cloud security, anything like that? Well, hearing none, I will probably continue. I will assume like people don't have a lot of like experience, right? Anyways, okay. Yeah, so like I'm gonna assume like there are like people who don't know a lot about cloud security. That's something which I will assume. Uh, so like yeah, like if you're like starting out in cloud, or if you want to like get into like cloud security side, again, I'm not the most experienced person, right? But I'm like learning about cloud security a lot, right? Like past from like few almost from for some time, right? So I mean, I will highly recommend, like before like getting into the whole like hacking side of cloud, people should learn the basic things about cloud itself. You should know how you can go and configure different things, right? Learn how you can set up IAM policies, right? Learn how you can set up IAM policies like in a more secure manner, right? Because at the end of the day, like you are trying to be a security professional, and you also have to give like some sort of like a security recommendation, right, to your client or your customer. So yeah, like you need to be better with that part. So you need to be like good with the whole like setting up infrastructure part. um um yeah, like learn about setting up im im policy securely. Learn about different things like in GCP. There are like things like cloud build. Then in AWS there's lambda. In GCP there lambda is also lambda, and cloud function are like some other two same things but for on two different platforms. Learn how you can set up something like um learn how you can set up like a instance securely, right? Learn how you can um configure and set up like CI/CD pipeline in a secure manner, right? um but yeah, like learn like basic cloud fundamentals. Docker, Kubernetes will be I don't know, like I mean Kubernetes could be a cool thing to learn, right? I mean there are, I don't think a lot of people know about it, so that might give you like a good competitive edge. I don't know, but yeah, learn about those cool things. After you learn the whole basic part, I would say you can switch to the whole hacking side, right? And you can utilize platforms either like Poon Labs, you can do like then there's a great resource called like hacking in the cloud, I believe. Maybe let's go back to what the stream or screen. uh Hacking the cloud, like there's a really cool on this website. They have like a lot of like research work or resources from like different places up here. So yeah, like maybe you can read or check out this like specific website. You can check out Poon Labs or some other resources. If you you can also check out like something called Cloud Code, or Cloud Code could be either for let's say for a specific platform like AWS. If you want to do that, you can check out like Cloud Code for GCP, Azure, whichever or whatever part you're interested in. Other than that, like you can check out Hacking the Cloud. They have some great fantastic resources up here which can help you get started into the whole like cloud hacking side, right? You can check out Poon Labs. They have some really great labs. um then you can also check out something like AWS Cloud Code, I believe. Yeah, you can check this out, like AWS Cloud Code. um if you want to like set up, you have to probably set up it on your own, right? And from the part of like setting up infrastructure, um have also like been like learning and exploring like Terraform side. So even like some knowledge about like Terraform, maybe it could help you with the whole hacking side. I don't know, but yeah, like you can use like Cloud Code if you want to do something, some sort of a security work or some sort of a hacking work. Or let me like reframe it. uh if you want to do like introductory level or or introduction level labs about AWS. You can check this out, I believe. um you can also, if you want to do like something for Azure, quite simple, just do something like this, like Azure Cloud Code, and you will find something, right? For GCP you can do something similar, which would be GCP Code. You can check GCP Code if you want to, or or you can go to like Boon Labs, right? And you can like filter out which labs you want to see. Like for in my case, it's like GCP. We have like currently these many labs for GCP, but there are like a lot of labs which are in development, and you might see it here very soon. Then there's like AWS lab, right? You can check them out if you want to. um the Poon Labs could be a great place to start. Other than that, I would also say cloud hacking, hack tricks. I think I have misspelled the spelling, but yeah, you can check out this resource, right? They have some really great stuff, right? Um, you can check out either GCP, Azure, AWS, whichever one like you're interested in, or whichever one like you're most interested in, right? Um, okay. So we have like talked about like some basic how you can get into like whole cloud security part, right? I'll probably say that again. Learn basic concept about cloud, right? Learn how you can set up IAM or other services on that specific cloud properly in a secure manner. Then I mean this might be a bit overkill, but I think it's good to know, right? Hey Ryan, welcome to the stream, man. Um, yeah, like you can learn how you can set up basic infrastructures. Again, the other thing which I'm gonna say, it might be bit too much, but you can also or learn something called um or follow something called cloud resume challenge. I know this might be a lot, but again, the more you know about a specific cloud, the more like you will get better with it, and it might even increase the chance uh which you like finding different ways to either escalate your privileges, enumerate, or do like all sort of a cool stuff, right? So learn basic. If possible, you can learn Python, but if you're like hacker, you must be knowing Python, right? Other thing which will be cool to know is like other than like cloud concepts, some knowledge about like Docker, maybe Kubernetes could help, right? um then the other part could be like you knowing something about Terraform, right? um those things can like make you a really cool cloud security hacker, right? So yeah, those are like some things which you need to know to get into cloud security. Other than that, it's mostly like a lot of hard work, like from a lot I mean a lot. um I don't really know. It's like it's from a company called Maono, I believe. Yeah, but other than like other than that, I don't know. Yeah, then let's talk about some other things related to, let's say, GCP, right? Some cool attacks. So I have to show some cool stuff. Again, this part will be for the people who kind of know about some sort of a cloud hacking, right? So in G so if you know like some sort of a hacking, like again, like a lot of people know AWS, so I will be using AWS as an example, but I will be promoting GCP security. I'm not a fanboy of GCP, but I like it, right? So I do a lot of work with Google Cloud. So yeah, so I would say like if you know something about AWS or hacking, doing some sort of a security work with AWS, GCP will be uh, really easy for you, because almost every other thing is like same in GCP. The name could be different, the permissions, like just some some things could be different, but it's again GCP and AWS is, in terms of like security, are like not very different, right? If you see like most of the attacks which happen on cloud infrastructure are like mainly due to misconfiguration, and you will find misconfigurations in every other place, right? It could be GCP, it could be AWS, like, and the misconfiguration which you will find will be almost same. Could be either exposed bucket, could be overly permissive IAM policy, right? It could be some other misconfigurations, right? Could be like you accidentally exposing the database or your snapshots or compute images, stuff like that, right? um Again, like from like about like overly excessive like IAM policy, right? I have a really cool attack to demonstrate. Like, if you follow me either on like LinkedIn or Twitter, you must have seen me talking about a blog post, right? We will probably will be talking about it on the stream. So yeah, like, let's talk about more cloud or GCP focused security work, right? So let me go up here, GitLab, uh, GCP pen testing. So they have like some really cool stuff. Again, like I have like a lot of labs coming, which I have made for Poon Labs, which will be like releasing soon, right? We have like a lot of cool labs on GCP which are in development, and I promise like they will be really really cool, right? It will take GCP security to a whole next level. But yeah, again, like, if you want to like get into like whole GCP security, you can check out this blog post, right? It talks about like some basic things which you need to know about GCP to do some sort of a security work, which is G Cloud command. It's basically a fancy way of like using curl command, right? Then again, like in GCP, like a lot of stuff is on different APIs. If you're like able to steal or token, you can basically interact with GCP with the API. You can do almost any and everything with GCP APIs, right? You just need to know different endpoints. um so yeah, like, I just want to show a really cool attack. I think I have talked about this part in my previous streams, right? But there's a really really cool attack at this one, GCP. Like, so like okay, so I will get a whiteboard up here. So whiteboard, I will get a whiteboard, and it's a really really cool attack. We will have a lab on it on Poon Labs, but we'll talk about like this specific attack, which is a specific permission called set metadata. So basically, like, with this specific permission, you can set metadata in a compute instance, right? And if you are like into whole like AWS, your compute instance is basically like EC2 instance, but on GCP we call it compute instance because we are normal people, right? uh yeah, like, if imagine a scenario like you are like performing some sort of a pen test, right? This is a box, a Linux server. You are able to land an RCE, right? And this like specific compute image instance happens to have this specific permission, which is set metadata, right? This like specific permission called compute set metadata. Let's see if I can. This is like a victim web host on which like you're able to get an RCE, and once you land on this like specific machine, you perform some sort of a IAM enumeration, and you discover this like specific permission, right, attached to a specific service account. Now, with this like specific permission, we can exploit it, and we can basically like put the entire uh like almost every other instance on that specific GCP project. So uh suppose like we are able to get RCE, we exploit the specific we land an RCE. Let's say we land RCE as we land wow, we land RCE as www data low priv user, right? We land an RCE as this like specific user, and we happen to have this like specific um let's say permission. We happen to have this like specific permission. We land, okay. Wow. Let me fix this up real quick. We land RC up here. Now, like, let's suppose we can use this like specific permission to perform a local privilege escalation, but but it's not only limited to like LPE, which is local privilege escalation. We can basically like put almost every other instance on GCP, like on that specific GCP project, right? So let me make this box a lot bit smaller. Alrighty. Now that we abuse this like specific permission, we abuse it. We were able to abuse it. We can abuse it. So how we gonna abuse this, right? So we can follow this like specific blog post. It's basically like us creating um an RSA key, right, or SSH key, right? And we will, and if you know like a bit about GCP and their metadata, you will realize that or like if you're able to dump the metadata, you will see there happens to be a specific value or a key, right, called SSH keys, and that happens to store public key of of different user, right? So what you can do is like you can modify the metadata of that specific instance, right? And you can add your very own let's say public key, right, and put in the box. Or you can escalate your privilege to a different user, right? It could be a default user or could be some other user. So for example, like in GCP, if you create an instance, right, in GCP you create an instance and it will have, and let's say like you create an instance and you log in through the web console, it will create a user with your own name. So let's say on your GCP, like you have registered a user called Ayush, right? And you create an instance and log in into it through the web console. It will create a local high privileged user into that specific VM, right? Now let's say we happen to have RCE and we can abuse this like specific permission. We can escalate our permission to that specific user. Could be escalate permission to high privileged user. But it's not only like limited to a specific user on that specific instance, right? If we have this permission, we can abuse this to like add our own user on almost every other instance on GCP, right? Which is quite bad in my opinion. So these are like some classic examples where I probably shouldn't be using this word, but yeah, I won't use it. but it's a classic example how you mess up with your security, right? In GCP, like if you're gonna perform any sort of a pen test or any sort of a security work, you have to remember, like if you see a default service account, that's like a literally a gold mine, because it comes with a permission called editor, and editor can do anything on a project or on GCP, right? So yeah, like in GCP, default service account almost every other time if people love, right? Or unnecessary or excessive permission like this one can mess up a lot with your security, right? So as an attacker, we can not only abuse this like specific permission to escalate a permission to a high privileged user, we can also escalate our permission to any we can escalate or move laterally within or vertically within GCP environment, right? And we can pull any other instance on GCP project, can pull any other project, or can pull any other instance on project GCP project. By the way, now this whole thing opens a whole new wall of like different attacks which we can perform, right? So let's say like we happen to have again, like I'm talking a lot of theory right now, but I promise like on future stream I will be doing all sort of CLI stuff, right? But I believe we need to get into the whole hacker mindset or whole mindset of how we gonna hack cloud, right? Or GCP, right? So as an attacker we can think about a lot of stuff, right? So let's say like we abuse this permission, we like were able to escalate a permission on our own VM. We also abuse this like permission to add ourselves into a different instance, right? And let's assume like this like specific instance happens to have a different service account with different service roles, right? So you see like we are like opening a lot of door for us, right? So let's say like if this like specific instance happens to have a different service account, right? We can make to we can make request to like metadata server, and we can print the OAuth token, or in some cases we can find ADC. I think we say ADC, or a database which contains the credential for GCP, right? GCP service account. So let me type it up here. uh contains let's say contains second more second contains uh different service account. I can't even type. Contains different service account. Cool, right? um Contains different service account, could have a different permission. We can again abuse this like specific permission and do all sorts of stuff, right? So this is like one way like how you can perform all sort of a hacking work or all sort of a security work. Again, like let's say again another scenario, right? um let's say like you have like performing some sort of security work on GCP, right? And you're like you're like able to escalate your permissions, yada yada yada, right? In GCP, like if you ever happen to have hey Kira, like so I'm currently like doing like cloud security related work. It's a stream about cloud security. We were like I talked about how someone can get started into cloud security and GCP, like specifically GCP. And right now I'm talking about different attacks which we can do in GCP. It's like a basic stream, right? I'm just giving a basic introduction, like trying to put people into the whole like cloud hacker mindset, and trying to raise like security awareness related to GCP, and maybe help other people to get into GCP pen testing or GCP security side. I hope like I was able to make that part clear. But yeah, like let's jump back to the topic, which is in GCP, like if you ever happen to have create permission, right? That's the again, I have to be careful with my words, but um that can really like mess up the security, because if you have like create permission for any like resource, you can basically attach any other service account in GCP, and you can escalate your permissions much further. um I will be giving you like a demonstration like how we can do it, right? About a security research work which I did. uh, let's see YouTube. Mm, let's see, like anyone here watching us on YouTube? No one. Okay, so let's get back to the topic, mates, which is um in GCP, some things which can f you up, which is default service account, overly or excessive permission, right? Now let's get back to the blog post, mate. So like it's quite simple. Like I'll probably give a demonstration, like a light demonstration on different stream, but yeah, like you can basically create your own like SSH key, right? And then you can add your public key into the metadata, right? And then you can escalate your privileges or permissions to root user on that specific instance, right? Again, like he talk about different things, right? In GCP, like you can do a lot of stuff. Um, like for example, up here we have a lot of like GCP labs. We have a lot more in development, right? Which will be released very soon. Uh, but yeah, like we can like I don't. Okay, I have to be bit more clear with this part. So if you have like any experience with like AWS, like you must be knowing you need all sort of a permission to even list your IAM policy, right? Or IAM permissions attached to your own like specific service account, right? um but at the same time, um you can brute force your permissions, right? In AWS you can do something similar in GCP, right? You can do something similar in GCP. You can brute force your IAM permission, or I should say what kind of a role your specific account has, right? But one crazy part is I will probably, again, this is like a bit introductory stream, but I will dive much deeper with more proof and research work, but with more like backing of like facts. But how much I know and how much I have done my research work, like I think it's not only my research work, or I'm not claiming that I was the only one, or I was the first person to find it. I'm pretty sure like there are a lot of people who must have found it a lot before than me, but I found it really interesting because when I was doing my own research work, I didn't really find a lot of I didn't find a lot of techniques around it, right? A lot of blog posts like AWS has, right? Like a lot of people talk about pen testing or security work related to AWS, but nobody really talks about GCP. And I believe we can easily fill that vacuum or make some name, right? So in GCP, like you can first IAM permission, but the best part is like again I have to do a bit more research work, but uh the way like how we perform like brute forcing is like abusing one of the API, like we are like basically like using a very legitimate like feature of GCP to perform a brute force attack, and then we are like able to figure out what kind of a permission we have, right? But the crazy part is that I think I'm not sure if I can show you. I can show it right now, but the crazy part is like none of your like brute forcing will be none of like your brute forcing attempt will ever appear on cloud logs, right? Which is crazy insane, because let's say like you are a blue teamer and you are able to, yeah, and you have to like configure some sort of a defense, right? And as a red teamer, or as an attacker, or as a threat actor, right? Anyone can, let's say like someone is able to breach into your cloud, anyone can basically like perform brute forcing, right? And you won't be able to figure it out, or you won't be able to find out is someone even trying to brute force your IAM permissions within your cloud environment, right? Again, it's something which I'm not super clear, but how much I have done my research work, I didn't find it. I could be wrong. I'm young. I could be wrong, but oh my god, I shouldn't be saying I'm young. But yeah, a lot of bad stuff can happen, right? Um, we'll take a quick water break. Well, like apparently I have triggered uh, Google Assistant, right? So I can hear him or her speaking in my ear right now. Crazy stuff. But yeah, like those are like some cool stuff. I can probably show you the tool, the one I made. It's quite simple, I believe. Yeah, it's quite simple. I don't even have to believe. But yeah, let me start this lab. Right, start spooning. Lab on. Um, Up here, you can go and try this scenario on your own. And if you like have seen my old previous video, or my recent video, which is on GCP pentesting, I believe, or getting to Google Cloud security scene. Um, I had like mentioned about like this like specific attack, right? So we can basically abuse a very legitimate feature in GCP to basically like enumerate our own permission, right? I have like mentioned the documentation up here, and we can like, and yeah, like here's the API endpoint which you can abuse. This is a Python, this is a bash script, right? But I also happen to made a Python script about it, right? It's quite simple. It's like crazy simple. The only part which I had to focus on was getting this like roles, right? But yeah, basically it's pretty simple to the bash script which we saw earlier, right? Which is, it makes some sort of a request to the specific API endpoint and sees whether you have permission or not, right? And by the whole like, so a lot of people will think, or even I thought, like this will make a lot of noise, right? But guess what? Like nothing really appears on your cloud log, right? Not a single thing appears on your cloud log. Again, I could be wrong, right? And that's something which I have to dig more deeper into it, but I didn't see anything in cloud logs. But again, like there are like some crazy cool things which we can do, right? So let's say like we are put into a scenario where a breach has been assumed, right? And you are given and you're given some sort of internal access to a network, right? I mean, if I happen to perform a pen test, um I will like basically like perform some like basic things first, which will be like um checking like different IAM permissions, what kind of a IAM permission you have, or let's say like you're put in a scenario where you have been provided a low privilege service account, or could be anything. So how you gonna escalate further deeper into the network, right? I mean, the very first thing when it comes to cloud is like to figure out what kind of a permission you have, and it will be really cool if you're able to list IAM policy of the entire project, right? It can really help you to map out different permission, map out different attacks possibly, right? So yeah, like if you have permission, try to enumerate what kind of a permission you have. Is there any excessive permission which you can abuse to escalate privileges, right? Because also like you have to also look out for low hanging fruits, which is default service account in GCP. So let's say like um, that will be very real unrealistic scenario, but it might happen, which will be you happen to find some sort of a vulnerability on an external server, and you land on a compute instance and that happens to have a default service account. It will be bad, and it will be a really immature cloud environment, I would say. But yeah, like you might find default service account attached to either like let's say cloud build, app engine, some other like GCP services, right? So always look out for default service account. It has something called um, editor role, which is bad. um Other thing will be like um yeah, like I will initially start with like whole all sort of IAM enumeration, look out for permissions. If I find anything interesting, I will dive deeper into it, right? Again, this like stream would have like worked out really well if we had people, right? I think no one is really watching us right now, but yeah, I will keep talking, right? Gonna stop me, man. So yeah, like I mean, um, let's see like what other thing which we can talk. We can talk about the whole like security work which I did. Let me pull up a blog post real quick. Alrighty. So the blog post is like loading up. I'll probably like record the video for my YouTube channel too, right? At least I will get someone to watch my videos, right? Um, but yeah, man. Let me go back. Hmm. Okay, so like, we will talk about how we can exploit and escalate our permissions uh, by abusing something called cloud build in GCP, right? It's a really cool technique which we found. I found it really interesting, right? Because it shows you like how bad a default role of or a permission could be in a cloud environment, especially in GCP where default service account happens to have editor role, but in this case it was different. But yeah, so let me jump back to my stream main screen real quick. Okay, so we are back now. Let's see. um okay, so this is the blog post which second blog post I made, right? It's on exploiting GCP cloud build for privilege escalation. For like people who don't know like what cloud build is, a high level overview will be cloud build is like is a part of a CI/CD pipeline in GCP, right? So let's say like you are a developer, right? And let's say, okay, so let me take a nice example up here. So you are a developer up here, and there's a source repo, right? Or let's say like forget whatever I said, right? Cloud build is like a service in GCP which lets you automate build related to a specific software, right? So cloud build can basically, like, let's say like as a developer you make any sort of a push request into a source repo, and that specific source repo is connected to cloud build. It will automatically build the code, and it can deploy it on different services like Cloud Run, GKE, which is Google Kubernetes environment, uh, then compute instances, app engine, whatever like you can think of, right? So cloud build, I hope like I was able to give a high level overview of it, right? A basic diagram, we can follow this basic diagram, right? So for example, we have a developer up here, right? He makes a push request to this like specific source repo, and this source repo happens to be a part of a CI/CD pipeline, and it's connected to cloud build, right? And let's say like this developer made some changes, and this like source repo contains some sort of a code to deploy Kubernetes engine, right? So we have up here cloud build, right? And cloud build needs a specific file called cloudbuild.yaml to give instructions like, hey cloud build, can you perform this action? Hey cloud build, can you perform this task, right? So in cloud build YAML, we had specified to deploy a GKE, which is Kubernetes engine, in GCP, and then make a copy of a Docker image and push it to an artifact registry, right? If you don't know like what artifact registry is, it's like Docker Hub, right? It's a container, basically it's a container registry, and in GCP it has a lot of fancy things which we can do. Now let's talk about like some pre-exploitation setup, right? So to perform this attack we need to have some permission, right? We The only permission we need is, I would say, a write permission on a source repo, right? And we can get that specific permission either by phishing or the actual developer, or we can find a leak secured service key or service account key. And by the way, like, this is not a rare thing, right? I mean, this thing happens a lot of time. A lot of people will have their either API key or private key exposed in a Git repo or some other place, right? Or we can exploit some other misconfiguration, and through from there, like, we can pivot and get the necessary permission to perform this attack, which is source repo writer, right? Or a permission to write or make changes on a Git repository which is connected or is part of CI/CD pipeline, right? So this is like a basic high level overview, right? So basically, like, what happens up here, um we have like this an attacker, right? We were able to land in this like specific scenario, like we are able to land as a low privileged user which only has write permission on a specific source repo, right? Now, as an attacker, what we can do is if you remember, like I was talking about cloud build YAML file, right? Which is a special file which gives like instruction to cloud build what to do and what not to do, right? So we can create our very own malicious version of cloud build.yaml file, right? And we can push it to source repo or git repo, right? whatever you want to call, or GitHub, Bitbucket, GitLab, whatever, right? Now, since like in a scenario like this, like source repo is connected to cloud build, right? Our malicious like cloud build .yaml file will be triggered and it will be ran. Now we can like create a like malicious cloud build in such a way that after running it will perform normal workflow or normal task as usual, because we don't really want to create a lot of suspicion, right? Or we don't want to three cloud engineers like, hey, there's something wrong and we need to go and look, right? We want to like, we try to keep it as steady as possible, but we won't really be able to, because if a if a mature organ like because like these, whatever we're gonna do will be like logged into cloud logs, right? Or cloud logging, and administrator will be able to view whatever actions which we have performed, right? But let's keep like the whole evasion part at some other side, right? So jump back to this attack, right? So we can, in that like malicious YAML file, we can give instruction to to extract the service account token of like service account, or the OAuth token of service account attached to this like specific cloud build, right? And send it to our very own webhook, right? Now once we are able to exfiltrate the OAuth token of a of cloud build service account, we have to perform again IAM enumeration, which is crucial when it comes to like cloud security or cloud pen testing work, right? And if that specific cloud build happens to use default role, right, and or it happens to have a permission to create any other cloud build trigger, we can escalate our permissions even further, right? So if you like remember, like earlier I was talking about um how bad it is, how bad create permissions are, right? So we can create a malicious cloud build trigger, right? And once we create a malicious cloud build trigger, we can perform this whole same thing again, right? Oh, let me jump back to the browser again. We can perform this whole same thing again, and we can uh steal the OAuth token of a different cloud build service account, right? Again, we are assuming a lot of things, right? And once like this like specific cloud build, let's assume like this specific cloud build happens to have some extra privileges like permissions to either create or deploy cloud run or app engine or some other permission, right? We can abuse that specific permission, right? In our case it happens to be cloud run, right? And we can abuse that specific permission. We can create and upload a backdoor docker image, right? And then we can attach that specific backdoor or malicious docker image to cloud run, right? And whenever we will deploy cloud run, we can attach any like service account in GCP, right? And using a backdoor, we can steal the OAuth token of service account attached to like this attached to like this like specific service in GCP, right? Again, this is a lot of stuff, and I believe you will be able to understand once you do this whole thing practically. But again, this today's stream is more about me talking different stuff, but we will definitely do whole like practical part on different stream, right? But we can read, if you are like interested, you can go and read the blog post. But again, it's the same thing which I talked earlier, which is us creating malicious cloud build, right? I have like added the structure of cloud build, like uh, what's the use of like steps, names, and argument, what they mean, stuff like that, how we can create a malicious cloud build.yaml file, um, how we can exfiltrate the OAuth token, how we can abuse cloud build, create permission to create a malicious cloud build trigger and attach a more privileged service account, right? And again, like this is a very cool technique, and I believe it will be a lot more fun if we do it in a practical way. And again, I have made a lab for this for Poon Labs. It's ready, but it will take some time to be released on the platform. But trust me, like it's a really cool attack to do, right? So I don't know, man. I mean, if I'm able to explain what I mean, but we start as a very low privilege service account, right? We start as a very low privilege service account which happens to only have write permission on source repo. We exploit and that source repo is part of cloud build CI/CD pipeline. We exploit our write permission on a source repo, right? We steal the OAuth token of that specific service account attached to cloud build, right? We get a different service account. So till now, like we happen to have like 3 different service account, right? Again, I should have written up here, right? 2, 3, right? And this is the service account of a different cloud build, right? Now once we let's say like this specific service account happens to have other permissions to deploy other services in GCP, for example Cloud Run, we can abuse it to create our own backdoor service, right? And attach any service account in GCP project and steal its OAuth token. So basically we can take over an entire GCP project with a specific attack, right? Now let's talk about some defense part, right? So for defense, we can easily like break this attack sheet if we like implement something like manual trigger or manual approver, right? And we can separate the service account which has permission to accept or approve to be a different one, and developers to have a different permissions, right? Also, like a cool part, I like reported this to like GCP, but they said it's working as intended. And by the way, like again, I'm not taking credit like I was the first person to do it, but the whole like backstory, like how I found this was even more funny, right? So I was doing like some security research work for Poon Labs. I can't take things which I was doing, but I was working on a big lab and I was supposed to deploy everything using this specific service, right? And I had to deploy it in a secure manner, right? And one of the service account happened to have a write permission, right, which was connected to cloud build. So like my whole like hacker brain was triggered and I was trying to figure out ways how I can exploit it, right? And I can't show you like things which I did, but I was like constantly like DMing some people, like yeah, I shouldn't be saying that, but yeah, I got like hyper let's say excited because at first I was able to run who am I command or ID command, then I was able to print the OAuth token, but I was like, to read the OAuth token a specific a person needs to have permission to view the logs, which in most of the cases you won't find. So my hacker brain was spin was brought into action again. I started to figure out, I started to think how we can exfiltrate the token, to our own webhook, right? So the whole thing I did, and I reported to Google. But after reporting it to Google, like since me being a high schooler and hyper excited, I reported to Google. But after reporting to Google, I went back and did some Google search, and I got to know about bad build, a somewhat similar attack, right? um then I learned about this one from Rhino Security, which is very similar to the one which we did, right? But the one which uh the one research work which I came up with happens to go much deeper into cloud environment. But again, I'm a big fan of like Rhino Security because, as I said earlier, I believe they are true pioneer when it comes to cloud security, or especially like GCP work, right? Uh, but yeah, like it was something similar. The other part which I found quite interesting was like, which I never thought about, was sending a reverse shell like this, right? And then making a request to the metadata API. But again, like both of the techniques were really cool, right? Uh, so yeah, like this is it for exploiting cloud build for privilege escalation. I wish I could have demonstrated any practical work, but unfortunately I can't right now, right? But I have the whole like lab ready for this specific attack, and you might find it on Poon Labs very soon. So yeah, stay tuned. Um, since we don't have a lot of people right now, I will I will probably end the stream right now. So yeah, like thanks for tuning in, and if you have like any ideas, or if you'll be seeing this thing later on, let me know, like if you want to learn or explore anything in cloud security, right? But yeah, like thanks for tuning in if someone actually tuned in, right? But yeah, thanks, have a great day, bye.